In 1995, a man named Robert Lee Brock, a prisoner in Virginia, sued himself for $5 million, claiming he violated his own civil rights by committing crimes while drunk. Yes, he sued himself. Robert was an inmate at the Indian Creek Correctional Center. He wasn't famous, not rich, just a guy doing time for breaking and entering and grand larceny. But what he did next made him one of the strangest legal stories in American history. One day, Robert sat down, grabbed a piece of paper, and wrote a lawsuit that said, "I violated my own civil rights. I caused myself to be arrested. Now I demand a compensation of $5 million from myself." He added that since he couldn't work while in prison, the state should pay the money on his behalf. Yes, he wanted the government to pay him for what he did to himself. Robert claimed that because he was drunk when he committed the crimes, he wasn't in control of himself. So technically, his sober self was the victim and his drunk self was the criminal. He said he had caused himself pain, suffering, and mental distress. So now, justice must be served by suing himself. It sounds like a joke, but in his mind, it made perfect sense. When Judge Rebecca B. Smith received the lawsuit, she was probably thinking the same thing we are. Is this guy serious? Yes, he was. The judge had to respond formally. She wrote, "In this case, the plaintiff and the defendant are the same person, and he seeks to pay himself money from the state treasury. This case is clearly absurd." And she dismissed the lawsuit. Still, she noted it politely because, believe it or not, Robert actually followed legal procedures correctly. He filed paperwork properly, named himself as both plaintiff and defendant, and explained the damages. It was nonsense, but well-organized one. So, why would anyone sue themselves? Some say it was a clever trick. Maybe he hoped to get attention or move to a different prison. Others think he was just bored and trying to make a point about the justice system. But the real reason might be something else. Robert had filed many lawsuits before. He was known as a frequent filer, someone who constantly sues for any reason, often just to pass time or annoy the system. In the 90s, US prisons were filled with unusual lawsuits. Inmates sued for cold food, for not getting ice cream, even for being forced to watch bad TV. Robert's lawsuit was the weirdest, but not the only one. After the judge dismissed his case, Robert didn't stop. He tried again with other complaints, all denied. But this one became famous, shared in newspapers, legal textbooks, and internet lists of craziest lawsuits ever. He never got his $5 million. The state didn't pay him a cent, but in a strange way, he did win something. He became legendary. Today, decades later, people still talk about him, not as a criminal, but as the man who dared to sue himself and technically filed everything correctly. So what we can learn from Robert Lee Brock? Maybe nothing, or maybe this. The law can be logical, but people are not. Sometimes the strangest stories remind us that reality can be more absurd than fiction. And in a world of crazy headlines, a man sues himself for $5 million might just take the prize. So next time you do something stupid and regret it, don't sue yourself, just laugh. It's cheaper, faster, and you'll probably win anyway.